Welcome back to Anderson Acres. Today we're talking about something really important when it comes to miniature horses, and that's driving. Now, a lot of people see a mini and think, oh, they're tiny, they're cute. How hard could it be to hitch them up to a cart and take them for a spin? But the truth is, driving a miniature horse is serious business. It can be one of the most fun and rewarding ways to work with your horse, but it can also be one of the most dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So, there's an old saying in horsemanship, and this applies to the big horses, the little horses, all of them. Green plus green equals black and blue. What this means is if you have a green or inexperienced horse and pair it with a green or inexperienced handler, you are setting yourself up for bruises, bumps, and sometimes much worse. This rule applies across the board. It doesn't matter if we're talking about a 1,000-pound draft horse pulling a wagon or 200-pound mini pulling a cart. When both the horse and the human don't know what they're doing, things can go wrong in a heartbeat. With minis, people often underestimate the risk. They're small, they can't do much damage. That's what I hear. But a mini in a panic can still bolt and kick and flip a cart or drag you in ways you didn't know you could move. And it's not pleasant. Their size does not make them harmless. It just means that accidents happen closer to the ground. Okay? Accidents still can happen. And as anyone who's tripped over a Lego knows, you don't have to be very big to cause a lot of pain. Okay? So pay attention. If you've ridden big horses before, you might think, well, I already know how to handle a horse, so driving should come naturally. But driving isn't just riding with wheels attached. It's a different skill set entirely. Being able to ride doesn't mean you can drive. I don't ride. Obviously, he's little. I don't ride. I do drive. They're not the same, okay? Being able to drive doesn't mean I can hop on the back of my sister's horse and ride it like she can. And the same is true for her. She can ride like no one I've ever seen before. She rides better than anyone I've ever seen. But I wouldn't let her drive without some instruction because it's not the same skill, okay? It's completely different. When you're riding, you've got your whole body to communicate with the horse. You've got your legs and your seat and your balance and your weight. You can use all of that to send constant signals to that horse. But when you're driving, all of that is gone. Sitting in a cart, your only tool are your hands on the reins and your voice. That's it. That is all you've got. That can feel really strange and limiting, even for experienced riders. Now, hi. Sorry, I got a turkey wandering beside me. So, think about it from the mini's perspective. You're suddenly asked to wear a harness that feels different than a saddle anyway. You've got a cart attached that rattles and it clatters and it follows wherever you go. If your horse has never pulled before, the sensation of something chasing them is instinctively frightening. So you can't just throw a harness on your pony and hitch up the cart and expect it to go well. Even the sound of wheels on gravel or the feeling of shafts pressing against their side can cause panic if they're not properly trained and used to all of these things. So not only do you have to learn a new skill, but your mini has to learn to trust the process. That's a tall order if both of you are starting from scratch. The best way to avoid green plus green, the best way to avoid that particular problem is to make sure at least one of you knows what you're doing. And since you're the one holding the reins, that's going to fall on you. One of the smartest ways to get started is with an experienced driving horse. A pony who knows what he's about can teach you a lot. A seasoned mini who knows the job can make all the difference when you're the one learning. An experienced horse will stay steady when you make mistakes. He won't spook as easily at new sounds or movements. He'll keep doing his job while you're figuring out yours. That forgiveness is worth its weight in gold. Because let's be honest, as beginners, we all make mistakes. Even if you think you're going to do really well, even if you're an experienced horse person, if you've never driven before, even if you have driven before, you're going to make a mistake. Mistakes are human. But when it comes to being a beginner, you're going to make more mistakes than a green horse can handle. So think of it like learning to drive a car. Nobody hands the keys to a teenager who's never driven a car before and gives them a sticky sports car with a sticky clutch and goes, "Good luck, have fun," without teaching them what to do. You start with something steady and reliable, something that helps your teenager gain confidence instead of scaring the devil out of them. Minis are the same way. If you're just starting out, you want a horse who knows the ropes and can show you the way. Their knowledge will be invaluable because they'll teach you what's good and what's not. And they're very good teachers. Miniature horses are smart. And if they know you don't know what you're doing, they'll help you out. Now, driving isn't just about climbing into a cart and going for a joyride. It takes patience, practice, and yes, some professional instruction. Finding a good driving instructor can be one of the best investments you'll ever make. Many instructors will have lesson horses that you can work with, which means you get to learn with a horse that already knows the drill. That way, you're not confusing your own horse while you're figuring out the basics. Once you know the fundamentals, then you can start working with your own mini. But here's the truth. A beginner-friendly driving horse is actually really rare. A miniature horse that's experienced enough to teach you the ropes does not come cheap and does not come up for sale often because people usually want to keep them. Okay? It is a treasure to own one, but finding one available for purchase is not common. Okay? So if you're lucky enough to have one of these beginner-friendly horses, treat that horse like the treasure it is. If you manage to score one, he's worth his weight in gold. Okay? Most minis will need careful, consistent training before they're safe to hitch up. On top of that, you'll need to invest in a cart, a proper harness, safety gear for you. You're going to need some safety gear, trust me. You're going to take a couple tumbles. And it all adds up quickly. It's not a cheap hobby. It's not something you can dive into without preparation or without a little money in your pocket. But let's talk about the equipment because it's worth the price. Because just like you wouldn't drive a car with bald tires and broken brakes, you don't want to drive a mini with poor quality or ill-fitting gear. A properly fitted harness is essential. A cart that balances correctly is essential. If the harness pinches or rubs or shifts, your horse is going to be uncomfortable at best and explosive at worst. A bad experience with poor equipment can set a horse back months in their training. And then there's you. Are you wearing proper shoes? Are you? Look at your feet. Are you wearing proper shoes? Do you understand how to hold the lines? Do you actually know how to hold the lines in your hands? Do you know the right commands to use? Do you know the commands your horse was trained to use? Do you? Driving requires a whole new set of habits, and they're worth learning properly because they keep both you and your horse safe. Trust me, sneakers and a prayer are not a substitute for good training and good gear. Driving your miniature horse is a great deal of fun. There's no question about it. There's nothing like trotting down a lane behind your horse, reins in hand, wind in your hair. Here comes my dog. Here comes my dog. She's a good one. And here comes Whiskey. He's here too. But there's really nothing like getting on that cart and whipping down the back lane. Okay? The wind in your hair, the smell of the country air, it's all fantastic. It's a beautiful partnership and a rewarding hobby. But it is not something to take lightly. An inexperienced handler can confuse a horse in seconds. And once panic sets in, the cart becomes a dangerous piece of equipment. I've seen carts tipped, I've seen drivers dragged, and I've seen horses injured because someone thought, oh, it's just a mini. What's the worst that can happen? The worst is pretty bad. The worst can happen in a heartbeat. That's why training, preparation, and professional guidance matter so much. Now, could you teach your mini everything by yourself? Sure, if you have the patience and the wherewithal, and the two of you trust each other enough, it's possible. It's not always wise. Without guidance, you might push too fast, miss important steps, or even accidentally create bad habits that are hard to undo later. Some qualified instruction and assistance isn't just helpful, it's the smarter choice. Okay? With the right help, you'll learn faster, your horse will stay calmer, and the whole experience will be more enjoyable. And you'll bond better if you don't have a bunch of mistakes that you have to try to get over. So let's circle back to that old saying, green plus green equals black and blue. If you remember nothing else, remember that. Green plus green equals black and blue. It's gonna hurt. Don't pair an inexperienced horse with an inexperienced driver. Driving is a completely different skill than riding, and with minis, it's easy to underestimate just how powerful and challenging it can be. Start with experience. Invest in proper training. Use the right equipment. Don't hodgepodge. You're going to pay for it. You are going to pay for the hodgepodging. Okay? Get help when you need it. And above all, respect the process and respect your horse. He might be little. That does not mean he is deserving of any less respect than his big cousins. Okay? He's important too. That's how you set yourself and your miniature horse up for success. Now, that is about it for us here today at Anderson Acres. We will come back next week and continue talking about driving your miniature horse. It's an important topic, and it's a sport a lot of people want to get into, but you got to take your time. Have you ever driven a miniature horse, or is it something you're interested in trying? Drop a comment below and share your experiences. I'd love to hear them. We'll see you tomorrow.